People of Reddit who have been abducted by aliens. What's your story? I was abducted outside my cousin's wedding reception. It's all very hazy. There were two of them and they carried these powerful hand torches they kept shining in my face. They could speak a rudimentary form of English. They kept asking questions about how much I had been drinking. I presume because Earth is a water planet. They had questions about what we drank. Contrary to popular belief about anal probes. One of the aliens kept trying to make me put my pants on. Not take 'em off. But I couldn't find my pants just then. The other alien, who seemed to be in charge, kept talking about disturbing the other wedding guests, and he tried to abduct my champagne bottle. Their spacecraft had a lot of bright lights on it. Mostly red and blue. They took me to their mother ship and put me in a holding area with some other humans they had also abducted that day. The next thing I know, it was morning and I was standing on the pavement downtown outside the police station. I was very fuzzy-headed, but physically unharmed. The whole experience gave me a terrible headache. Then I threw up on the bus. I have no story. No memory of it. Had an MRI and doc asked when I had back surgery. I've never had a single surgery in my life. He, Harvard grad and neurosurgeon, said I definitely have had some kind of surgery given the scar tissue along my spine. I told him that's where the probe went when I got abducted. He became oddly more serious and wasn't indicating that I was joking at all. He looked at the film a bit longer and seemed to study them deeper this time and then said, "I'd bet my education that you have scar tissue from surgery. So, no real story. Still have the scars as per my last MRI. My brother-in-law says he was abducted. Don't know too much except he was out in the woods walking around. He was gone overnight. He never does that without letting somebody know that at least. He's leaving. He was found the next morning completely stunned. On shock. He could barely talk. He never really said what happened. He won't talk about it. He said only that they performed examinations on him. His right foot now has what I can only describe as a birthmark on his right foot. It wasn't there before. That I know. It wasn't there. Now is got a deep purple mark that covers most of his foot. WTF? If I talk I will be in trouble. It was late at night. I was just starting to drift off to sleep, then all of a sudden I'm being dragged out my window by a blinding light coming from this huge UFO. I'm basically teleported into this ship where I see an alien looming over me. Now it was about this time when I noticed the alien wasn't an alien at all, but actually a giant creature. A crustacean from the Paleozoic era. He leans in close and tells me, I need about 3:50. 10 to 2 a.m. X. Yogi DMT. And a box of Krispy Kremes in my need to know pose. Just outside of Area 51 contemplating the whole chosen people thingy when just then a flaming stealth banana split the sky like one would hope but never really expect to see in a place like this, cutting right-angle donuts on a dime and stopping right at my Birkenstocks and me yelping, "Holy fucking shit! Holy 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 fucking shit!" Then the X-File being looking like some kind of blue-green Jackie Chan with Isabella Rossellini lips and breath that reeked of vanilla chig champa did a slow-mo matrix descent out of the butt end of the banana vessel and hovered above my bug eyes, my gaping jaw and my sweaty Ron Hubbard upper lip, and all I could think was, I hope Uncle Martin here doesn't notice that I pissed my fucking pants. So light in his way. Like an apparition. That he had me crying out, "Fuck me. It's gotta be the deadhead chemistry the blotter got right on top of me got me seein'. Motherfuckin' T." And after calming me down with some orange slices and some fetal spooning, E.T. revealed to me his singular purpose. He said, "You are the chosen one, the one who will deliver the message, a message of hope for those who choose to hear it and a warning for those who do not. Me. The chosen one, they chose me and I didn't even graduate from fucking high school. You'd better. You'd better. You'd better. You'd better listen." Then he looked right through me with somniferous almond eyes. Don't even know what that means. Must remember to write it down. This is so real, like the time Dave floated away. See, my heart is pounding 'cause this shit never happens to me. I can't breathe right now. It was so real, like I woke up in Wonderland, all sorta terrifying. I don't wanna be all alone while I tell this story. And can anyone tell me why you all sound like Peanuts' parents? Will I ever be coming down? This is so real. Finally. It's my lucky day. See, my heart is racing 'cause this shit never happens to me. I can't breathe right now. You believe me, don't you? Please believe what I've just said. See, the dead ain't touring and this wasn't all in my head. See, they took me by the hand and invited me right in. Then they showed me something I don't even know where to begin. Strapped down to my bed, feet cold and eyes red. I'm out of my head. Am I alive? Am I dead? Can't remember what they said. God damn. Shit the bed. Overwhelmed as one would be. Placed in my position, such a heavy burden now to be the one born to bear and bring to all the details of our ending, to write it down for all the world to see, but I forgot my pen. Shit the bed again. Typical. Strapped down to my bed, feet cold and eyes red. I'm out of my head. Am I alive? Am I dead? Sun-kissed and Sudafed gyroscopes and infrared won't help. I'm brain dead. Can't remember what they said. God damn. Shit the bed. I can't remember what they said to me. Can't remember what they said to make me out to be the hero. Can't remember what they said. Bob, help me. Can't remember what they said. Don't know. Won't know. 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 God damn. Shit the bed. I was on my home moon, just minding my own business, when these dudes in a shuttlecock-shaped thing parachuted down almost right on top of me. They bound me, gagged me, then took me to a secret underground facility on the Big Blue Marble. I'm still there today, 54 years later. Help me. Nice fella. He asked me, why are we destroying the planet we live on? I told it, don't judge us too harshly please. We're a mess. It was around 3:50 a.m. I'm a night person, so I usually sleep around that time. It was starting to rain outside and there was a loud constant gust of wind blowing through the cracks near my window. It was eerie and I had a weird feeling that something bad was going to happen. I looked out the window and noticed nothing amiss except that the trees were swaying pretty violently and that one of the trees got uprooted. I turned back and saw two aliens by my door. They looked haggard and their backs were bent. They also did not have any limbs and their heads moved mechanically as though they were automatons. I noticed that the door was closed, so I presume they had just walked through or teleported straight into my room. They were talking in some strange language that seemed to be half human and half alien, and the next thing I knew, I was being tied up in some giant opaque plastic bag. There were holes so I could breathe. Somehow I fell into a deep and peaceful trance. When I woke up I was in this foreign space. I could see through the holes in the plastic bag. It was like I was in the sky and everything was floating. Then I heard footsteps. The ringleader, I presumed, came to inspect me. He unzipped the bag and the moment he saw my face, he lets out an audible "ooh" and immediately zipped the bag up. The next thing I knew I was back in my bed. One time these Canadians threw me into their van and took me to a nice restaurant and made me use maple syrup. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. I suggest trying again with the serious tag. I don't know if it was really an abduction, but my car broke down near their job site and they gave me a ride into town. They were really nice and I already enjoyed Mexican music and the language barrier gave me a good reason to sit quietly to myself. 10 out of 10 would take a ride from aliens again. They took me in the middle of the night. I was out feeding the cattle under the moonlight and then a big light came over me. Next thing I knew, I was driving down the road talking to what I later realized was my father. Or the person whose body I am now in's father. He made a joke about the time being slow and he had seen an episode of X-Files that mentioned that time reverses when aliens abduct so they can drop you off at the same time as they picked you up. Except I think they mixed something up because I am not in the same body I left in. I still remember my whole life before, but I am 18 years younger in this body, so I don't really mind. But a few years after the incident, I went to see if the farm I once lived on was still there. But it took me a while to get there without suspicion. It's gone. Like it never stood. Maybe it was all just a dream. They just wanted someone to explain the rules of American football. But I've never watched it and they got pissed at me for wasting their time. After the standard issue butt stuff they beamed me back, but it took like 3 hours to walk home. Sadly I live in Europe, they only visit USA. They were grey with big fat eyes. Little mouths. They just stared while I peed. I don't think I was dealing with the top brass. I woke up. I had to pee like a camel. So I started peeing and one of the grey aliens slapped the wall and pointed at the bowl. So I got the hint. I kind of duck walked over the bowl. Peed in it. I had the shirt I came in with but my pants were gone. So my cuckoo was out. It's full Porky Pig in a drafty dome. I'm starting phase 2, which is me sitting on a stool while 40 grey aliens take turns gently batting my knockers. They were real respectful about it. They were in a line and then one by one, they'd step up, slap a knocker, and then go to the end of line and wait for another turn. It didn't hurt. It felt super off the books. I swear to God. There was one grey alien by a door just kind of peeking in and out. I think he was the lookout. Look, it's not one of my worst Wednesday nights. My grand exit was out of what was basically like a big airplane toilet. Okay. I dropped down 7 feet on the roof of a Long John Silver's. They threw out my pants separately. They missed the roof. My slacks landed on a freaking pine tree 30 feet away. So I had to just chill up there with my damn cuckoo hanging till the place opened up. Okay, if no one is going to take this seriously, I guess I'll share my story. I don't expect anyone to believe me. I've tried telling this to several of my friends and once to my dad, but they always thought I was just joking around or something. I wish I was. It was 2009. I was 13. I was staying up late on the family computer on a Friday night, playing some flash game or something. I remember my mum had just gone to bed 10 minutes prior. I vividly remember typing in half the URL to addicting games when I heard it. This weird silence. It's hard to explain. But all sound disappeared except for the sounds of my fingers on the keys. No crickets outside. No wind. Not even the sounds of my loud computer in the room. I stopped and sat there for a second wondering if there was something wrong with me. I remember worrying I was having a stroke or something. Then I was there. This huge space. Pitch black. I could barely make out the edges of the room, but it was vaguely metallic. It was freezing. It took me a couple minutes just laying there for it to sink in what was happening. But I was floating in this giant room staring up at where the ceiling should be. There were no lights anywhere, but somehow the small area I was hovering in was illuminated. I remember kind of looking around and taking it all in a sort of fugue state until sound came back. Only now there was this strange hum that was sort of going up and down in pitch slowly. Kind of like a motor but softer and more harmonic or something. I don't really know how to describe it, but it was like there were multiple layers stacked like a chord rising up and down in this weird dissonance that made me really uneasy. When I snapped out of it, I took this huge breath and my adrenaline kicked in. I tried moving, but I could only move my head. My clothes were still on. But I was just floating there, head whipping around trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. I was fully awake. Possibly more awake than I've ever been since. I can't tell you how intense the fear was. Then this sound of breathing came from behind me. And what sounded like heavy, hard footsteps on a metal surface. Loud, deep exhales with almost this sort of vibration to them. I turned my head as best I could to try and see. But it was coming from beyond the light. My heart was beating so fucking hard I thought I was going to die. I started to see a figure emerging. Slowly at first my brain was having trouble registering it. It wasn't human. It was big. As it approached the light I started to make out the features. It was a horse. This fucking brown horse with black hair slowly walked into the light. And past me. I remember feeling the heat from its body as it did. It was so close. Then it went to what looked like a door at the edge of the room closest to my feet. Just where the light was starting to fall off again. And it stood up. I heard a sort of zipper-like sound. And all of a sudden the horse collapses like skin to the ground, revealing a small humanoid figure. It turns around and looks at me with huge black eyes. Then just walks out the door. Before I could process any of this, there was suddenly a presence beside me and I turned my head just in time to see another humanoid thing putting this ball with lights on it over my face. Then I woke up. But I didn't wake up in my bed. I was outside my house. A couple kilometers away. My clothes were a little ripped and dirty. And I had this awful headache. I slowly got up and looked around. I was down this dirt road near my house. We lived in the countryside. And just outside the driveway of one of our neighbors. When I realized where I was, I just walked back to my house, took an Advil, and went to bed. At the time I just wanted the night to be over. And I had no idea what happened. But as time has gone on I know for a fact that what I experienced was real. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't sleep paralysis or sleepwalking or that thing Mike Birbiglia has. It was so incredibly real. I didn't tell anyone about it for a long time. Years. And any time I see a horse on someone's farm or whatever, I think about that night. I think about telling them. But what would they say? I'll start. Not sure if this was a dream or not, but I remember being in some kind craft facing towards one of the walls. I felt a presence behind me and was so scared I couldn't move at all. Then out of nowhere I suddenly felt completely at ease. To my left out of the corner of my eye I could see a big being that almost looked like a large Tardigrade behind some kind of control panel. I turn to see another being. Can't really remember what this one looked like. But I remember asking if I could ask some questions. I then received a reply which came from within my own head. No. And that's all I remember. They gave me chicken nuggets and McDonald's Sprite.